Well, hello again. We are in the third part of our vision, goal setting, and communication series where we are talking about what is the direction that your business is going and how do you rally your team behind it. And it's a perfect time to talk about this stuff right at the end of the year, the beginning of the new year. I love these topics and I love that more people are having these conversations and they're bringing their team members in. And this is where I feel super energized. And you might be able to tell, I like talking about numbers, but honestly, strategy and visioning and looking forward into the future is really what gets me excited about this work that we're doing. And I just want to remind you guys that when I'm working with clients and when our team is working with clients, we can be such better CFOs when the CEO has a clear vision and direction on where they want to go in the business, okay? So this is kind of, we really do see kind of a night and day experience when we can really support the direction that the CEO wants to go. And, we consider ourselves team members when it comes to like supporting the businesses when we're, working directly with the CEO. So we want to be able to help provide guidance that's going to help the business owner achieve where the direction. And so when we don't have that, we feel like, well, you could do this, you could do that. Like the opportunities become harder to vet because we don't really know what the business owner really wants. And so you could have a opportunity that's not good or bad, but really it's just about like, well, what does the business owner want to do? And if we don't know the answer to that, then it's much harder for us to provide guidance. So we like having these conversations, and it is really, you can have these conversations all the time. But what we're going to talk about today, before we talk about it, if any of this stuff has been helpful, please tell me in the comment section below. I would love to hear if you've taken the time to set some goals or establish a vision. I think that both those things are really important. You can also tell me how big is your team and have you ever talked about strategy and vision with your team before? I would love to hear that as well. And also just take a quick second to say if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please make sure you're subscribed. I didn't mention that one of the goals for my channel in 2023 is actually to get to 100,000 subscribers. 100,000. That's a lot. That is maybe not so attainable, like, the A in a SMART goal. It's going to be hard, but I want to share that with you guys because I think once we communicate goals, they're more likely to happen because you start to have accountability to them. Okay. So I want to tell you guys 100,000 subscribers is the goal for 2023. And if you'd like to help me reach that goal, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel right now. Thanks. Okay. So what I did recently, after I had my vivid vision and I was working on my strategy, I was like, I need to talk to my team about this stuff because I need my team, and my team is small. There's 4 of us right now. So we don't have, this big organization that's really hard to get together. But I was like, I think we need to sit down and talk about all this stuff together. And I need to communicate some of these things. And I also even want to bounce off some ideas with my team because I, as the leader, have some things that I've formulated. But there's some things that I would love the input, and maybe like I'm not the smartest person to think about all this stuff, and I'd like some outside opinion, and I would really love to hear like what my team is feeling and what my team is thinking about some of my ideas. So what I decided to do is actually take a morning and set up a strategy day, like a half-day strategy session. So what this video is about, it's about how to lead a strategy meeting. And specifically for your team. What do you need to go through if you want to have a strategy meeting? So what we're going to do is I'm actually just going to hop into my agenda. I haven't edited this or anything. I just was like, you know what? This is real. This is real stuff. This is what I use to walk through with my team. And if you'd like to grab a copy of it, I'm happy to make this free and available to you. It's not the best agenda you'll ever see, but I think that's the point. The point is that we're not looking for fancy agendas. We're looking for having the conversations. And it took me a minute to think about how I wanted to structure this day. So if I can make this a little bit easier for you so that you actually have the day and don't get stuck up on designing like the format of the meeting, then I think I've done something that will be helpful. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and hop into the agenda, and I hope that this will be helpful to you. And please let me know if you have any questions. Download a copy, edit it all you want. what is good for me might not be good for you, but at least this can give you some structure and things to think about. All right, you guys, here is this agenda that I promised you. And again, if you want to download it, I did include a link in the section in the description box below. So if you want to grab it, again, this is 100% an example for you. I'm not trying to tell you, copy me exactly. Use this how you will. I just don't want you guys getting stuck on how do I do it. And I want to give you an example of how I did it, and then take it and run with it and do what's best for your organization. Okay. So I booked a 3-hour meeting with my team. I could have definitely used 4 hours. This was we definitely could have spent more time, and I included some breaks in here. So keep that in mind when you're looking at just scheduling this meeting. 3 to 4 hours is really what I would recommend. So I broke this up into 3 sections. We have kind of values, purpose, and target. Then we talked about marketing strategy. And then we went into kind of some review of past year and then looking forward into the next year to kind of create some more tactical things. So and then breaks in between, and to make this thing fun, I brought coffee for everybody. We got donuts, just trying to make it something where, and ideally if you can meet in person, that's awesome. We did a mix of in-person and virtual as well, because we have a team member out of the state. But for those of us who are local, we were able to meet in person at an actual meeting space. All right. So the first section was really kind of talking about that big picture stuff. And I like talking about big picture first because it helps guide the rest of the conversation. So we talked about company values, which I already had established. This was just a way to reiterate them to the team. All of them had heard about these values when we were doing onboarding, but I think it's always good to revisit them and just kind of remind people, and also just ask questions. Hey, does this make sense to you? Is there any time that you think that we're not doing this? And just get their feel for it as well. So the next section after company values is all stuff that's been taken from the Entrepreneur Operating System, EOS. So if you're familiar with that system, you might see some of these terminologies like core purpose, niche is kind of generic, 3-year target, and then a BHAG. So I want to show you that real quick. This is a download that you can get directly from the EOS website. So I'll make that link available if you want it. I am not associated in any way with EOS. I just think that some of their tools that they use are really helpful in this big picture thinking. And I like the system overall. Some people will be familiar with it. Some people are not. There's a book called Traction that if you're curious about finding out more, it's super helpful if you want to go through that. Again, I'm not affiliated in any way with this organization. It's just some of my clients use EOS, and I'm also using some of the things from EOS. So here is kind of just a guideline. So we went through all of this stuff to basically go through the vision, the core focus is where we talk about why are we doing what we're doing? Who are we serving? And then kind of really big picture, what's the 10-year? And then what does the 3-year look like? It's important to kind of break it down into these smaller chunks so that, you can kind of see what is the trajectory going to look like. And so we kind of covered this top part in the first hour. And then we took a break after that. So we kind of spent all of our time talking about the big picture, mission, vision, values, targets, and then took a break. And then we got into really marketing strategy. And this goes back to that traction organizer a little bit. And this is this marketing section down here where we talk about who is our target market, what's unique about us, what's our proven process, and do we have a guarantee? So you'll see that I put this into the agenda here. Who are our people? Who are they? Who are we trying to reach? Who are we trying to serve? What are they? Where are they? Where do they hang out? This was a really good brainstorming time. And then also what's unique? What differentiates us? What's our competitive advantage over our competitors? Or why would people want to work with us versus working with somebody else? So this was really also a lot of really great brainstorming came out of this section. This is one of the reasons why I really, really, really wanted to bring the team in for this. Core values and things like this, I think, need to be really driven, and vision needs to be driven by the business owner and the direction. I wasn't really as much looking for ideas from my team on this part. I was more looking for their buy-in and making sure that they were clear on what the goals were, and have them point out anything that might seem inconsistent or maybe something that they were confused about, or this is more like communicating to them and letting them ask questions. This was really more of a brainstorming session when we really get into marketing strategy. And this is a really great time to make sure that people feel like their voices are heard and that they are, their input is valued and that you're listening to them. And this is a great time to just jot down everything.
You don't need to accept everything in the long term, but jot down everything. Make sure that people are feeling heard and that they have an opportunity to speak up here. What is our proven process? This is really important because some of the things that we need to think about is as we grow businesses, that we have our own proven process of how we serve, like we're a service-based business. And this was really helpful to spend some time here. And then we had a big discussion about whether or not we offer a guarantee and what does that really look like. This is actually was one of our big open items after our strategy meeting. We haven't quite figured out what it looks like to offer a guarantee. And so this is something that we're going to be thinking about over the next year. And think about, how could we quantify a guarantee and how could we deliver on that guarantee for every single client, every single time. For some companies, it's going to be really easy to have a guarantee, and then for some, it will be really difficult. So this is actually one of the optional pieces on the EOS system. And then we also just had a discussion of where we want to show up in 2023. What social platforms do we want to be on? What conferences are we going to? Are there any groups that we're going to be in? Where are we physically going to show up and where are we digitally going to show up? So this was pretty important. After that, we took another break. Definitely could have spent more time on marketing. I think this could easily be an hour and a half to 2 hours for sure. So this was definitely tried to get a lot done in a little bit of time, but I would make this longer next time around. And then in the last session, I started out with just doing a look back on 2022. I pulled some stats to say how many employees we had, how many clients we served, some kind of key impact things, like where do we spend our time? What did the YouTube channel look like? And started there so that we could give that as a base point of where are we going in the future. So we also took some time to review our current client list, and we actually went through kind of a rating system to see who's aligned with where we're going and who's not aligned. And this was really helpful and definitely worth a discussion. And then we started looking at what are our goals for 2023? How many clients do we want to have? How many team members? What software upgrades we want to do? What new processes we need to put into place, when we're going to travel, and what we're going to do for YouTube. This is just a quick list, but we did set some really concrete, smart goals for 2023. And that took a little bit of time, but we got those written down and we made sure everybody was clear about them. I did come into the meeting with these goals, and I presented them to the team so that they could kind of, rally behind them, shoot them down, ask questions on how we were going to achieve them. For example, our client growth goal was a little bit ambitious. And so one of the team members was asking, well, how are we realistically going to do that with our current team? And we were able to talk through what that looks like so that nobody's overworked and everybody feels like they have that right work-life balance we're working for here at Clara CFO Group. So that was great. And then we rounded it out after we were solidified on all of our goals, and we took time to set specific goals for Q1 of 2023. And the EOS system calls these rocks. We set priorities of things that we want to accomplish in the next session. So that's in the next 90 days, what are we going to do and what are our priorities? And so this is where we take our annual strategy or our annual goals and we break it down into tactical, practical things. And that's where we say okay, the priority for Q1 is to do X, Y, Z. And then we will do a quarterly check-in after this every single quarter. We'll review our rocks, and then we'll set new rocks for the next quarter. So overall, this is just one way to do a strategy session and a strategy meeting. I think that you can take it and run with it and do what works best for your organization. But I wanted to give you just a really practical way to look at this. And hopefully this can be helpful to your organization. All right, thanks everybody.
All right, you guys, I hope that was helpful. Now, if you may have missed some of the other videos where we talk about vivid vision and also goal setting, please make sure to check those out. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.